What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 7 of our HEXAGON challenge here with Waitakere United in the ASB Premiership here in New Zealand. Hopefully you guys are good. Today I have for you guys our second match of the season. It's against Auckland City. Going to be a big tie, of course. They are one of the kind of big teams in the nation, if not the biggest. They are going to be our main title rivals this year. I say title rivals. We are predicted to do well this year. The media, they're bigging us up. You can see media predicted to finish second. If we did get second, that would, of course, guarantee us kind of continental football next year in the Oceanic Champions League. So anyway, there's been a fair few games since last episode. Or not a few games, sorry. There's been a fair few changes, I should say, since last episode. Of course, last episode was the end of season live com in the ASB Cup final, which we unfortunately lost against Auckland City. Going to look to get some revenge against them today. But of course, with it being the end of a season, plenty of transfer dealings to tell you guys about, so we'll go over them now. As you can see, a lot of players went out. We had a really bloated squad. Wanted to get rid of a lot of the players who we don't really need and aren't going to be using. I don't feel like there's much point going through these players, as they're players who really didn't play much last year, so you guys aren't familiar with them at all. So I guess instead we will look on the ins. As you can see, 7 new signings, 7 fairly big players in my opinion. And yeah, we'll go through these now. So the first one was Tim Myers from Three Kings. So Tim here is actually one of the cheaper players that we've brought in terms of his actual wages, but he's a very experienced centre-back, quite a commanding centre-back as well, which is nice. You can see here, fairly good mentals, a bit of an enforcer, a bit of an aggressor, but he can actually run, he does have some pace. If we look at him here, you can see he actually played for Waitakere United for a number of years. He then moved to Team Wellington in 2014, and he now reunites with the club 2 years later. I'm hoping he's going to do a pretty good job for us. He's a very good centre-back. And yeah, pretty excited to have him in. The next player, Sean O'Brien, I'm not going to go over simply because he wasn't actually one of my signings. It was a pre-contracted kind of player who was signed before I joined the club. He won't be playing a lot, and so it's not really worth talking about him. The next player, though, Scott Basilage, definitely worth talking about. This guy is going to be our #1 goalkeeper for the year. The 22-year-old is a very experienced striker. You can see here, he has joined us from the one and only Team Wellington, and he's a pretty good player. He played a lot of first team football for them last year. 22 years young, and yeah, he has some fairly decent current ability. His potential's really what we've brought him in for. But he's a very good experienced goalkeeper, even despite his age. And yeah, we needed a goalkeeper. He's going to be a long-term solution for that position. Anyway, the next two signings, both from Wanderers SC. The first one here, Ryan Pickering, a very, very good striker. This guy, as you can see, he is an advanced forward, or an advanced playmaker, sorry, but he can also play up front as an advanced forward, which is kind of where he'll be more likely to play for us. All in all, though, this guy, just a really exciting player, joined us on a free, of course. He's on £350 a week. If we look at his career stats here, you can see last year he had a really good season for Wanderers in the ASB Premiership. 18 goals and 12 assists, 8 player of the matches, really was one of the big players of the division. Delighted to get him in. And then alongside him, another player from Wanderers who we brought in is Mark Chettelberg. This guy was the captain of Wanderers FC, and he's a very good player, good winger. A little bit perhaps one-dimensional in terms of the fact that the only place he can play is out on the wing, but he's a very good player, a leading player for the division, and in his debut for the club he actually got 2 goals and an assist and a 9.3 average rating, so that is not too bad for him by any means. Anyway, the next signing we'll talk about is Archie Edwards, good little left back, signed from Charlton on loan. Kind of useful this, because I'm an English manager. I have some knowledge of England, and that allowed me to look at some of the players available for loan from England. We needed a left back, and Archie Edwards really fills the bill. He's on a very low wage of £275. One of the better players in our teams, especially as far as defenders go. Really excited to have him as well. He's 19. Some potential, obviously, we're unlikely to see that with him being on loan, but a good player nevertheless, and kind of solved a problem that I had. Anyway, the last player I brought in is this guy, Michael Morris, and you might see the club he signed for, which is FC Golden State, and be a bit confused as to how I was able to find a player in this kind of USA division. So for you guys who don't know, in the USA, in the States, they have what's called the draft, where a player hits kind of 18 or 19, or sometimes a little bit older in some cases, and they can be drafted to an MLS team. If you're a non-MLS team, though, you can sometimes approach to sign some of these young prospects before they're drafted into the MLS on freeze. So I actually started off this by going on the USA national team at under-20s, and I started looking through some of the young players who are valued at nothing, because all these players are players waiting to be drafted. Of course, I've got attribute masking off because I can't play hardcore enough. It also helps with doing videos because sometimes people like to see kind of the best players in the world, and if I have attribute masking on, you can't see them. But basically, I just started looking through some of these players. So I ended up going and I'd look at Strikers FC, who Adair plays for, and then I'd start just quick flicking through all the other NAL players, players like Zach George here, and if they stood out, I might try and sign these guys because you can approach to sign them. Anyway, that is how I came across the one and only Mike Morris. Just a little tip there for finding players if you're perhaps, struggling to find some okay youngsters in smaller leagues. These players, because they're all on amateur contracts, you can approach to sign them and sign them immediately, which is quite nice. But anyway, that is how I found Michael Morris. Let's take a look at him. As you can see, an absolutely incredible player. 18 years old on £600, the biggest earner at the club. He's only got a 2-year deal, but I'm very, very excited about this guy as a prospect. Professional personality, young midfielder, probably our best midfielder, if not one of the best midfielders in the entire side. You can see he's just a very well-rounded player. He can also play centre mid, which is where I am training him to play. But I'm just very excited by this guy as a prospect. A decent little free transfer. One of the stronger players in our team. And at 18 years old, a real hot prospect, a player who I hope can become a staple of our kind of team for a number of years to come. So anyway, there are the signings on the ins. In terms of how we look for this season, this is the system that we are using. It is a 4-2-3-1. Nothing too crazy about it. Basilaj, the new goalkeeper, in goal. Left back for this game, Archie Edwards, the player who we loaned from Charlton, won't be playing because of his lack of fitness. So Raniga, who is our normal right back, is going to be moved across to the left back position. In the centre back position, we go with Reina, one of our first signings we ever made at the club, a 24-year-old Argentine. And alongside him, new kind of player, Tim Myers, who of course is returning to the club after a long spell a number of years ago. And then at right back for this game, we are going to go with Solomons. In midfield, our midfield duo of centre mid is going to be Jake Butler, who is our club captain, one of the best players at the club, certainly when we came. And alongside him, we're going to have Chris James here, who is the best player in the team, kind of in my opinion. A really well-rounded off centre mid, 29 years old. He's on a fairly long contract for 3 years. A player who I think we can start to build a little bit around in the coming few seasons. Out on the left, we are going to go with Jason Hicks. Very talented player, plays out on the wing, although he is more than capable of playing as a playmaker for us. Very good athletic player, good pace, which is nice. In the centre for this game, we are going to go with Michael Morris, who is our shadow striker. Very excited to have this guy at the club. Of course, I mentioned before, I think he's one of the hot prospects in the team. Good to be doing a job for us there. Out on the right, we go with Mark Chettelberg, who was another one of our new signings. As you can see, and as you might be able to tell, a lot of our new signings really are improving the first team, and Mark Chettelberg is no exception. A really talented winger, 26 years old. He had a good season last year with 11 goals and 4 assists. Got off to an absolute flyer with us in our first game earlier on. And then up front for us to start the season, we're going with Sean Lovemore, a player who is a very talented New Zealander, great striker. He's got some good finishing and some good acceleration. We have got some signings who will be coming in at future dates, which I'll go through just real quick. The first one here is Jalali. This guy is a Canadian striker. I found him in a similar way to Mike Morris, although this guy I actually found playing for the Canadian under-21 national team. A very, very talented striker. When he comes in, he will be the best striker at the club, probably by a fair margin. He really stands out as a good advance forward to me. I'm excited to have him coming. He won't join us until January, unfortunately, but he is joining us on a free. And the other player who we've brought in is Josh Noto, who, again, we signed in a similar way to the other guys from the USA. This guy, as you can see, I actually found him playing for the under-20s, this guy in the States. He joins us at the end of this season, so in about 12 months' time. That's because he's 17 and he has to be 18 in order to transfer. But he's a very promising striker, good pace, explosive pace really. Some nice finishing as well. Really excited to have him come into the club in the near future. So in terms of fixtures so far this year, there is just one game we have played. That was against Canterbury United, where we won 4-1. That was a really good performance. As I mentioned, Chettelberg got off to a flyer. Sean Lovemore also grabbed a brace early on. So that was a really impressive performance. And then in pre-season, we played a few games. The only one really worth noting here is Watakare City, who got promoted to our division this year. So we're going to have a kind of a rival in them this year, who I'm quite excited to kind of take on. So anyway, this first live com of the season is going to be against Auckland City. So far in the Pentagon, I've been doing fairly frequent live comms. That's something that is going to kind of slow down from this season onwards. With a lot less massive games on our plate, especially initially, it's going to be very much a case of playing a decent amount of games every time. Of course, kind of with the Pentagon, it's a very long-term challenge. There's going to be a lot of seasons I have to get through, and so kind of for seasons like this one where we're not in continental competition and it's just going to be a case of trying to do as best we can in the league, you're probably only going to see maybe 4 or 5 kind of live comms a season in terms of league matches. But anyway, this game against Auckland City is fairly big. They are the favourites to win the league. We are second favourites, but actually Auckland City lost their first game of the season, so we kind of have a chance here to maybe kind of play them while they're down, give them 2 defeats in a row. Worth noting, last season in the league, they only lost, I think, 2 games in the entire season. So they are a very, very strong team. They're going to be tricky for us to beat here, but with our new signings, with a slightly new system, I'm hoping that we can really give them a good game today and hopefully grab that all-important win that could see us go top of the table because of the fact we won our first game too. But yeah, I'm really excited by what we've got here. You can see they're going to be playing a similar system to us, but I really feel like this summer we've made some big transfers, we've made some big changes, and I'm pretty happy with how they've gone, to be honest. I feel like we've really kind of kicked on this summer, strengthened the team in the areas that we needed to, and we're going to have some very exciting players who are going to be with us for the next few years. So yeah, I don't think I could do anything too differently. I think defensively, we're not at our strongest. Perhaps that is not our strongest area of the pitch, but in this kind of division, just having good quality goal scorers is really the difference between winning and losing. And I'm hoping that we're going to see that today, as we do have a chance. And from kickoff, 20 seconds in, Jason Hicks scores. Chettelberg, the architect, one of our new signings, linking up with one of our established players in Hicks. And that's a dream start. What a start. I don't think Auckland City touched the ball then from kickoff. Maybe they did with that tackle. But Chelberg here, just a nice whipped-in ball, and Hicks, the other winger, just cutting in, scores on his weaker foot and gets us off to a fly. That is a fantastic start to this game. This is going to be a big season for us. The board expect me to win the league. There is a real air of expectation. I think with the signings we've made, we are the strongest team in New Zealand now. We just need to prove that on the pitch and prove that in games like this one, as Rayner makes a mistake, but he does get back for the block. Well played there. But yeah, we need to stay switched on, of course. We played Auckland City twice last season, at the end of the season, just last episode, in the cup final where it was over 2 legs. In both those legs, they were fairly close games. I really feel like with the players we brought in, that is the tipping point. They are the players capable of kind of tipping us over the edge and making us better than them. Although we are going to need to defend here. Good initial tackle, good blocks. But unfortunately for us, Antonio Carlos, their left back, I do believe, with his first goal of the season. And he makes it 1-1 here. So that lead for us was fairly short-lived in the end. You can see here, Lewis passing it inside to Weisslich. Blocked away, but Antonio Carlos with the rebound. And that was a pretty scrappy goal. And now we need to kind of, I guess, get our heads back into this game, as Morris will pass it inside to Hicks, who gives away the ball. Rayner, though, and now James. And now we'll bring the ball forward. Nice play. Lovemore looking for Chettelberg, who does have some pace out on that right side. And this is okay at the moment. To score early on was fantastic. To concede, a little bit disappointing, but it seems like we are kind of bossing this game at the moment. I say this as they attack. I'm just asking for trouble. Emmanuel Tade, I think his name is, or Tade certainly, with the effort there, went wide. And yeah, this is a game full of chances early on, a little bit crazy, but we are the team on the attack here. Chettelberg, though, giving away the ball to Antonio Carlos, Antoine Carlos, who is one of their big players. There's no doubt. And now Tade is through again. He shoots, and Basilage, the new goalkeeper, with a big save. In our last game, he didn't have a lot to do, our goalie. So this is going to be his first real test here against Auckland City. It's crazy to be playing such a massive game so early on in the season. But yeah, at the moment, we're doing okay. I'm fairly pleased with how we're getting on here. We do need to defend well, though, and Antonio Carlos to the edge of the box to Tade. He is a fairly lethal striker, Tade, but unfortunately for him, Basilage up to the task. A fairly tame effort in the end. Looking at it, Auckland City probably currently edging the game just a little bit. I think I'm actually going to change our system just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop Morris back a little bit deeper, and we're going to play Butler, I think, as a DM on support. I just want to give us a little bit more coverage against the attacking players that Auckland City have. They've been dominating the game just a little bit. Because of the new signings that we have, we're kind of flexible in what we can do in terms of our shape, which is nice. And yeah, we're going to demonstrate hopefully that flexibility here by switching to just a slightly more conservative system, although Auckland City with a chance, and Auckland City with the goal. Mariah getting his first goal of the season for them. I mean, Auckland City, there's going to be a big pressure on them for having lost their first game of the season to go out here and get a good result, having only lost 2 games last season. And they've come back from behind here so far. Our keeper with a crazy effort with the save, but unfortunately didn't get behind it, and the ball did find its way into the net. But anyway, we are on the attack here. Morris looking out wide for Hicks, but Morris not going to be able to pick out that pass, unfortunately. And now Auckland City with the ball, although we now have it. Butler to James. Nice interplay between our centre mids here. Now Chettelberg out wide. Can he whip in a good ball? He can. Lovemore, oh dear, he's got to score that. So much time at the near post. Chettelberg did all the work out on the right, whipped the ball in, and it was a tap-in. And it's a tap-in that we've missed, and that is pretty disappointing here. I'm going to tell the players that I expect to see a much better performance in the second half. A really disappointing first half there. Having scored so early on, you know, they didn't even touch the ball, Auckland City, to now be 2-1 down. It's pretty disappointing to see, although looking at the stats, we have kind of kicked on in this second half initially. We can make some changes as well. We do need to defend this set piece, though. We will do that. Now can we counter? We have a lot of men going forward here. Lovemore, fouled by Billen. He's probably going to be off. He was last man. And I'd be amazed if he doesn't get a red. You don't see many professional fouls in FM. We've seen one right there. That was a pretty stonewall foul, and I think as a result we are now going to, you know, switch back to the system we were using before and just go a little bit more attacking. We need to, you know, really push on with this game now and hopefully do something here. We'll move Morris to an advanced playmaker support, but yeah, just changing the system just a little bit more attacking now. We're taking on 10 men. We need to really make something happen here. Looking at it though, we've been really disappointing so far this game. I'm going to make a change here. We've got some players struggling fitness wise. Yeah, you can see here Lovemore really had a bad game. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to bring on Pickering for him, the new striker signing. Hopefully he can offer us something that Lovemore's not been able to. Unfortunately, it's not letting us sub, so we'll do it this way. There we go. I don't know if that's an issue with the amount of subs we have, but there we go. Pickering going to be playing up front for us. I should probably make some other changes. Rayner's struggling a little bit with fitness, so we'll do a sub there. We have got a few players struggling. I don't know if I really want to make the changes though, because we don't have amazing strength in depth still. So I kind of still feel like when we make sub changes, we are still kind of we are still kind of punishing ourselves a little bit. You know, we definitely don't have the same quality as some teams. I think I might take off Morris. He's not had the best game today, and then we'll move Pickering into a. I think we'll move him into an attacking midfielder set to attack, and we'll go fairly aggressive here for the remaining 20 minutes of this game. Still kind of learning the flexibility of our side with the amount of players we have who can play multiple positions. It's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle when we get an injury, moving players around to ensure our best players are on the pitch. But we have a chance here, and that is Ronnie Pickering. It's Ryan, but we call him Ronnie. Ronnie with the goal, makes it 2-2. Nice little ball whipped in by Foster. Both subs linking up there. That's really pleasing to see. And Ronnie Pickering, what a goal there, Ronnie. Take a bow. Take a bow. 2-2. Now can we really kick on here? Can we really push on? Both subs linking up well. But now I'm looking for more. Now I'm looking for blood. You know, Auckland City, they're down a man. There is not much time left in this game. We are going to stay on the front foot here. We'll make a few changes. Just get some fresher legs on, I think, now. Just because we are really struggling in terms of legs in the midfield. But yeah, we're in a fairly decent position. I'm also going to bring on, I think, Archie Edwards, the new loanee from Charlton. He deserves a bit of first-team football. He's not match fit, doesn't have great condition, but in this kind of game, he can just come on for the last few minutes. Hopefully get a little bit of match experience, a little bit of match time to get his match sharpness up to speed. Anyway, time ticking away here. To be honest, a draw wouldn't be the worst result, although we do have a late set piece cleared away. Can Foster get it back into the box? Hicks, whip it in, my son. Probert, oh dear. I can't believe the ref's blown then. I mean, it's finished 2-0, or 2-2, sorry. Feels like a bit of a loss, I think, given the fact that I guess that they had a player sent off and we probably should have been doing better. But still, to get a draw against Auckland City, one of the big favourites in the league, that is not a bad result by any means. Perhaps a little bit disappointing. I was hoping we could really show our increase in quality and, I guess our improvements over the summer and win. However, unfortunately for us, that just isn't the case today. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up this episode from me. I don't know when we'll be back for the next live com. As I mentioned, these episodes are going to be fairly more spaced out than they have been so far in this series. But hopefully you guys are still enjoying it. Really optimistic for this season here in New Zealand. We've got some great young players. We've got some more players who are coming in over the course of the next season or so. I still see this as a long-term building plan. Hopefully I'll see you guys for the next episode, which will be episode 8. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.